I look alright for the camera, eh? See?
I timed that to perfection there.
You did. But I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed. It's due to come off soon, so like I'm getting to that point.
Is it going to come off completely?
I'll probably leave my mustache. I've been growing it out within the beard, so I hide it within the beard. But when I separate it, it comes away up to my eyebrows. So I could go for like a full big curly number. That's what I might go for next.
Gelling your mustache every day. Well, you'll see that I'm obviously bringing my beard in really, really close now that I'm down to one chin. So I didn't need the beard to cover all these extra chins anymore. So just trimmed it right down.
But it's better you don't take it all off. You look weird when you take it completely off.
Nah.
I also got 12 or something, just like Daniel does when he shaves all his.
Hey, nearly 40 and I can still pass for a young man when I shave it off, I tell you.
Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun! You fucking moron!
Dressed up like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron? Huh?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!
I'm sure Ella's going to shake her head in the background there, but
nearly 40, and you would think that you'd be over these types of things, especially being over wrestling at the tender age of nearly 40 that the three of us are.
Yeah, exactly.
Never.
So welcome into another episode of Morons, as we have kindly rebranded to just Morons, as you'll see from the logo in the background there, or from our Instagram posts as of late. But us nearly 40-year-old men are joining you today to talk about WWE. We had two of the Morons attended the WWE Raw live at the Hydro.
Yeah.
It says with a question mark.
It wasn't
One sad, nearly 40-year-old man standing in his living room, yeeting away alone. As you two.
See, on the yeet thing, right? I think I mentioned in the group chat, but like, I went there with the full intention of going, like, I'm a fully grown adult. I'm not going to do that. Like, there's no chance I'll be doing that with all these kids, right? But aye, as soon as it started, I'm like, hey, fucking, can I help yourself, eh? Like, fucking up and down. Good fun.
Well, guys, let's kick off. First of all, talk about your experience of going to see it live. I think it must be the one and only time I've ever seen wrestling live is when we went to Cardiff as a trio.
We did, aye, it was us, wasn't it? Went to Clash at the Castle.
Yeah.
So me and Burnsy have been to both the Monday Night Raws I've ever been in Glasgow. We were the last one as well, which ended in that was a different time. We were younger. That ended in a disaster afterwards. Do you mean getting smashed? This time we left early to get the last train.
We missed that match and everything.
Well, I
only had a couple of beers, and tonight I'm only having one beer. I'm having a Jiddler's Tipple, which I got in my latest box from Beer 52. Just get that in early because other people can get some beer from Beer 52 as well. If you go beer52.com/move your head, Kyle /morons. That's right. Get your first case for fuck all apart from postage. Got it in there early, right? We don't need to segue into it later.
Oh, look at that. Minutes into the podcast and we're already hitting with a sponsor. I fucking love it. It's a very American style to start to a podcast. But let's just get straight into then talking about Raw. So obviously I watched it on the TV, so I'll have a different perspective from what you guys got in the actual arena on the day. Because what I'm intrigued with is how the atmosphere was. Because I thought it sounded okay on the TV screen. There was a couple of times where it felt like the crowd weren't very into it, but where it did kick off with some really strong, good crowd reactions was the heel John Cena opening Raw. Talk me through it.
Yeah, man. Well, I've just started making noise, so I'll go first then. I was buzzing for it, right? Because I think we're quite lucky to be in a time because he's going to be gone by the end of the year, right? So heel John Cena's only going to do X amount of dates, and he'll probably turn face again by the end of the year. So it felt like you were there for like a moment in time, if that makes sense. It did feel to me pretty special seeing him because he basically came out and gave a very similar speech to the one he gave in Belgium the week before, right? But it was good. You can't help but it felt very like pantomime, and like everyone was fucking booing him all over. Because I wasn't sure, because there was loads of John Cena t-shirts in the crowd and that, so I thought he might get a bit of a mixed reaction, but he definitely got booed and definitely got swore at a lot. And Burnsy can back me up on this, so I'm no bullshit. I'm fairly sure I started the "shut the fuck up" chant.
I'll see you did. I think there was 2 chants that he started. I can't remember.
My big booming voice went, and then suddenly everyone joined in. I was like, yes, it was a fucking great moment. Like,
You also started a chant outside with a woo at one point in the queue as well.
aye.
At one point with a big booming voice.
I gave it a big Ric Flair woo, and it just like went like a Mexican wave through all the crowd outside. It was good.
What was funny about the swearing is also Netflix are trying to catch this live and stop it. So they were timing the "shut the fuck up" quite well, and then the chant changed, and they just could not manage it. Like Netflix could not manage it at all.
It went to like "fuck you, Cena" at some point, didn't it? And then they must have lost it at that point. But no, it was good. Also, I'll let Burns give his opinion. But my only issue with it was I felt like I'd seen it before. It felt like it was the same as the week before a wee bit. So I wanted maybe a wee bit extra with interaction with him and Cody. It was almost the same, if you know what I mean. That was maybe my only slight gripe with it. But to be there live, it was fucking brilliant. Did you enjoy it, Burnsy?
No, I'm on the same page as you with that. It's like we said before we're going through that we're more excited for the actual promo stuff that you were going to get than the actual matches that had been announced. And you said you saw Cena at Mania, didn't you, Daniel, I think, when you went? Whereas I'd never seen Cena. And he was the one I wanted to see, like, this year. Apart from like the Rock or something, because I've only seen him as well. But apart, those would be the two that if you said who do you want to see when you go, that would have been the two I wanted to see. So the crowd were really good at that point. But it did seem, if you're watching on TV, I think you would have been saying, oh, we've heard sort of similar stuff. He did sort of change it a wee bit up, and you can tell how much Cena does love being a heel because he's getting that reaction. I think he prefers that, whereas obviously when he was there before, it was just kind of like 50-50. Although he's getting a reaction, he's getting just a pure reaction of a heel, which I'd imagine he probably wanted to actually turn a while ago, because I know there was like a podcast a while ago when he talked about how everyone was set up for him to turn heel against The Rock at Mania in their first one, I think it was. Although it's only going to be for a small period of time. He's probably just buzzing that he's able to do this before he finishes too. And I was surprised as well how it was just like 100% booze, and it's weird how like over Cody is as well when he comes out, because I don't like, although I think he's good in that, I wouldn't say it like it seems as if he has just became like the pure face of the company, but even it's like everybody seems to love him instead of being like 80-90% or 95%. It's like 100% they love him. But I thought it was a good opening segment, and it was quite funny listening to all this sort of chants, because you'd obviously messaged in our group chat at one point where you could hear them sort of coming right through. And I think it was like when they went "shut the fuck up," or it was like they hadn't got that one right away, and you could just hear it completely coming through on Netflix, which was I think as well that on the one that they uploaded to YouTube, because I watched a wee bit of that, and they just left it unedited on YouTube as well, just a chance. Didn't they?
Good.
Ever.
That's good, like, because John Cena, sorry, Kyle, John Cena mentioned it in the promo, right? He was like, that's all you can do is use profanity. That's all you can do is like swear at me and all that. And it just made everyone do it fucking more. So he had everyone in the palm of his hand, but it was obviously you mentioned about him possibly turning heel previously. And in that interview, he spoke about how he had new gear and he had a new song and he had everything lined up, right? And when we were speaking about it after the heel turn happened at Elimination Chamber, we were all excited for like, what's his new gear going to look like? What's his new song going to be? And me and Burns were discussing this, that he's been really clever. Because see, if he did have new gear and a new song, so like some folk would cheer it. Like folk like us would think this is fucking amazing. But he's stuck with the same stupid like 14-year-old boy outfit and like the t-shirt and the jorts, and he had the pads on and the wristbands and all that sort of stuff. So he's still the same character that 50% of the crowd hated. So they've stuck with hating him, and he's managed to turn the other 50% by turning it into an arsehole. So it's worked really well.
What from a business point of view is they're selling like all this new gear anyway, so they're actually still making a killing, because like every show he goes to, he's got a new t-shirt. So
Aye.
there was people like down below us. There was 3 of them in a row that all had like the new John Cena T-shirt. There'll be hundreds more in the venue or whatever, but they're still. It's not as if by them doing that they'd be like they're screwing themselves out of money. But I like back then when the original was going to happen, it would have made sense because it was just going to be a turn instead of being like giving people what they want by doing it at this stage, and then everyone sort of like Daniel said, there were people that would have been liking his new music, cheering them, and thinking, "Oh, this is class." Because you know what, some wrestling fans are like. It's cool to. We're the same in terms. It's cool to actually like the heels instead of the faces. Whereas if by him basically staying with exact same persona and just going in the crowd and just blaming them for the turn, and he's got like you said as well. He's so good at. He's so good at, but he was always good at that. But it makes you realise now that how he can just like shut down a crowd, get them to boo when he wants, get them to be silent when he wants as well. Because it wasn't as if like even though the crowd were booing him and swearing at him or whatever, he was able to say a few things that would just shut the crowd down completely to get his promo out, which no many have the ability to do as well.
What I like about watching these promos that he's doing, and obviously Cody comes out, interrupts, and they have their face off. But I'm really enjoying Cena not interacting with Cody when they're having this, because what I seen a video about this on TikTok or Instagram Reels. That's how old I am. I think it was a TikTok and Instagram Reels, and it was talking about there's 2 parts to why John Cena's not talking, and the first part being is John Cena is that good at it that he would destroy Cody in the verbal battle, which would then depreciate Cody in this situation and probably push more people to want Cena to win. Because if you go back and look at clips of like Cena versus The Rock, and The Rock's known as being the talker, and Cena just destroys him.
Remember that one where he destroyed Roman Reigns, when Reigns was like the face, it's like it's a promo. That was one of his lines. Then Roman was like, "What the fuck did that actually do?" That was the face of the company at that point, was meant to be Reigns, and Cena just came in. And I
think they've learned from that to the point of let Cody push it and push it and push it. But where I think that's going to go is the lead up as it comes to Mania. Mania's coming around very quickly, so they could pull the trigger on this very fast as becoming a part where Cody snaps. So Cody kind of control that frustration and anger and not getting what he wants Cena to do. Which then does that become a Cody heel turn because he takes it too far, where Cody kind of get what he wants, so the anger and frustration comes out, and he's not the good guy anymore. He has to go to that dark side, become the bad guy, and there could be some shenanigans I think will happen at some point. But I'm just intrigued to get your guys' thoughts on who is going to end up being the heel at the end of this match of Mania with them, and also your thoughts with Cena not interacting with them during these promos.
I think it'll just. I think they've just done it this way because they've still got a few weeks to be in that, and it's different to other feuds where you're going to have them like wrestling other folk every week. You're not going to put John Cena a random match on Raw, so like you can't do that sort of build. Whereas like that's obviously what they're doing with like Jey Uso and Gunther. They're putting them in matches or against other folk or whatever. So I think it's more they're just thinking, right, Cena's going to be here for the full European tour. We'll have him. We can only do promo stuff really well. So we'll build it up. Then whether it'll be, because I think they're in London next Monday, they might have like some for a wee bit more then, because you can't have, I don't know how many weeks, is it a month? Something like that? It's only maybe another 4 weeks, 4 Raws. You can't just have them like talking to each other for 4 weeks. But no, I think it'll still stay the same, and Cena will be the heel going into Mania. I don't know when Cody will turn or if he'll turn before Cena goes, but obviously Cena will turn back face before he goes. Because
I think
when you go,
sorry. I was just going to say the Cody heel turn we were sort of predicting about a year ago. We've been sort of waiting for it. I think this now has pushed that back by miles. I can't see, because obviously he's really over, right? And I went to SmackDown last year when they toured, when Cody had like first became the champion, and he was over then. But see now, he really is, like Burns said, like 100% of people are behind him. Like there's very few wrestlers have ever had like 100%. The full-grown men, the young kids, the women, everyone loves him, and it's probably at this moment in time there's no need to turn them heel, I don't think. Although it will be good when it eventually happens. The way I see Mania panning out, well, one of the things me and Burnsy were laughing at, they keep doing these like pull apart brawls. So I would imagine in the next couple of weeks, I don't think they will have that verbal battle like you mentioned, Kyle, because it probably would Cena will win it, right? And it'll turn people a little bit and make them unsure. But I think there will be like a pull apart brawl where Cody snaps, they start fighting, and then the security comes out and all that sort of shit. But the outcome, I think John Cena wins via shenanigans. Right? It's got to be. That's got.
Yeah, because so when I've thought about this, and I was talking to Caden about this, and I was like, if they were to pull the trigger and John Cena wins it, but it would have to be via some sort of shenanigans, which you would assume is going to include The Rock, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not, like, what I could see happening, and this is just me predicting, you can shoot me down in 1 second, is that The Rock does something which causes John Cena to win, and then Cody gives The Rock a beat down like The Rock gave him with the belt and all this kind of stuff. And let's say, for talking sake, Cody takes it too far and breaks The Rock's arm, breaks The Rock's leg, something that puts The Rock off the TV for a long, long time, to give him a couple of months to set back up for the following Mania with Cody as the bad guy. Cody is the victim. Cody is the one that's been shafted. And do you know what I mean? Like, it means that The Rock doesn't need to be in the TV constantly to build this up for a year. You can have him out for a few months, then bring him back into a sprinkle. The Rock can have time to try and play the face side of it, which I don't know how that would look. But I just...
I don't know if you get The Rock turning face in that, because like, he's just been that much a dick. Then if he's just going to get beat down, then people be like, well, you did the same to him. But I don't think it should be that The Rock's him, if he's... But God knows if he even be at Mania or whatever. But I don't, because I think it would be stupid if you turn Hina Seal and he just loses at Mania. Like, what was the actual? Surely you're going to turn him to then get the title, break the record. Then when he does lose it, you're sort of building, whether it's no Cody that wins it off him, whether it's somebody else. But then you've built either a new star or Cody's got his comeuppance against Cena and beat him. But I think that's the most likely. I would have probably thought before that you might have seen go back to what you were saying, Kel, is Cody could have turned heel and beat Cena to retire him base or something like that. But I think, like Daniel says, is now I can't see why they would do it. They just need to be careful that they keep him face until it's sort of going. They can feel the drop coming, because there's no sign that he's going to drop in terms of the crowd popularity. But you don't want obviously let it go too long, and then it's kind of, say it gets to 80%, 70% of the crowd like him, then you're turning him and it's not got the same impact.
100%. I think it'll be a quicker turnaround than you're thinking, Kyle. I think John Cena wins the title at Mania and probably loses it back to Cody by SummerSlam.
Okay.
That's how quick I think it'll be, because what you don't want is, this is obviously, we know that John Cena's leaving at the end of this run.
Yeah.
So you need to give it time for him to still... He's not going to retire as a heel, right? He's going to want to, for the rest of his time, be able to come back and do his appearances and do all his Make-A-Wish stuff and that. This is going to be like a short period in time. So I think you'll have Cena wins at Mania. Somehow it'll end up with Cody gets his rematch, either say by SummerSlam or Survivor Series if you want to push it further, right? But the conflict will then be John Cena and The Rock. And that's how you get Cena back to being a face. And I don't think The Rock's got any chance of being a babyface for the rest of his life, because he's a fucking prick. And now, do you know what I mean? Like, his real life persona is annoying. And the only reason he's a heel is because he's tried to come back and have these, like, oh, I love you guys, slapping his arm for the fucking goosebumps.
I'll come back and I'll headline Mania and just do what I want and win the title.
And people have shat all over him. So people have lost
Dwayne the cunt.
Aye. He's too successful. He's too much a big time star for wrestling fans to like him anymore. So I think you'll have the conflict, and then Cena will turn against The Rock to go face again, and that's where you'll end up with something will happen. So let's just say Cena loses to Cody at SummerSlam. The Rock will then fucking come out and fucking shove fucking Cena in the face, or like fucking put him down and all that, and the crowd will all boo, and everyone will want Cena to fucking turn back. And then that'll be it. Do you know what I mean? That's the way I see it. And then by the time you get to next year's Mania, Cody Rhodes is still the champion again. I think this is just a little period in time to make John Cena the 17-time champ. After that, it's going to go back to business as usual with
I
think
just
Oz
feel,
would probably be. I was just saying, Oz would agree. We probably want Cena to get the record of Ric Flair as well because he's a cunt as well. So,
Aye, Ric Flair's a cunt. There's a good name for the episode. So.
Dwayne the cunt, Rick the cunt.
Aye.
What I was just going to, just one more point on to Cody there though. I just feel that every time I seem to watch Cody and taking like the most recent Raw there with his reaction of trying to engage into a fight and he's over the top anger that was coming out, and then you take the match against Kevin Owens where he pushed it too far and he done very, very heel stuff in those matches. I feel that Cody starts off with this, I'm the proper businessman, I'm the nice guy, I'm the good guy. Cody's real personality comes out of, actually, I'm a nasty bastard, and you can get that side from me very, very quickly. And I just feel like they're sprinkling this now and again, it's going to get more and more intensified, where Cody then takes it that step too far.
I think eventually you're right. But like all the best baby faces, right? So, I mean, as much as I hate him more than anything, but like even Hulk Hogan back in the day, he would often cheat in matches. He was a sore loser. Like and Stone Cold Steve Austin really was a heel, right? He went about smashing folk with chairs, fucking giving folk the fingers,
Drinking beer.
drinking beer. And you've got, I think, if Cody didn't have that, he would be too much like a pure good guy, and people shit all over that. And that's why people hated John. That's why John Cena got the 50-50 reactions, right? He was too much a goody two-shoes. So I think the reason Cody's been so successful is, yes, he's a good guy and he's a nice guy and he shakes hands with the fucking everyone in the crowd and takes pictures with babies and all that sort of stuff, right? He does all the stuff. But when it comes to it, when it comes fucking down to it, he's willing to do whatever it takes is probably the best way to put it. Like the Kevin Owens thing. And he'll take advantage when opportunities come, because that's what we would do, I suppose. You want to see yourself in the person, I think, is ultimately how these people do well. But I think Burns made a good point that once you want to capitalise on it at some point, and I think probably within a year or two from now, you need to turn Cody, right? Because he'll be so good at it. I think it would be amazing. And you could probably get a good couple of years out of him as a heel. But speaking of people that were really popular, who had 100% of the crowd, but it's now going less and less and less, I think Jey Uso is in, because we'll move on to the next segment here, I think Jey Uso is in trouble of losing the crowd by the time we get Mania. Because this, I don't know what you guys think, but this build up to this title match is fucking the absolute shit.
It's losses, and this is what I was going to ask you there, guys. So to talk about the highs that you were having of John Cena and Cody Rhodes and their interaction, to Jey Uso coming out yeeting and then bringing his mystery partner. Surely the excitement was still going on in the crowd at that time.
So this is how bad it was. Like we had all convinced ourselves it was Joe Hendry. Everyone we were talking around about us thought it was Joe Hendry. There was Joe Hendry signs all over the place. Like people outside we heard talking in the queue in, oh, it's going to be Joe Hendry. So everyone was pumped for this. And Bungie made a good point that what would normally happen in this scenario is Jay would have came out himself and said, oh, my partner's going to be, right? And then Jimmy came out, right? But they didn't do that. They just came out together because I think they've recognised that the crowd were going to shit all over it. But apart from starting that John Cena chant, my other big moment of the night was when Jimmy Uso first got tagged in, it was like kind of silence, and I just booed as loud as I possibly could, like one big boo. Like and above everyone, and he turned down and gave me a wee look. I watched it back to see if it got caught in the camera. And it did. You can't see his face; you just see him turning down. And I was like, "Yeah, it was."
He turned around and gave you a smile because it was like pure silence. So
because it was at that point where the crowd just sort of died, and as soon as he got tagged in, I expected other people to boo, so I just went full as loud as I could, and he just turned in and gave me a wee look. But it was shit. It was.
They missed a moment there. They missed a clip, right? Because picture the scene that he's probably what he's been expecting is Jay's came out through the crowd somewhere, which he does all the time.
They were saying that apparently they were saying about the hydro. There's no really anywhere you can do that because it's all like you can't just go all the way down. So it had to basically come through like one of the entrances of the crowd. You couldn't have him coming through the crowd. It'd be impossible unless he would have jumped in about 10 feet or something. So that was, I don't really mean like,
because I just think like obviously not knowing that with the situation with the hydro, but in my head I've had a picture of him in the crowd, spotlights on him, everyone's yeeting, But you could have even used this point of, rather than them walking there, just have them eating, and then halfway through that, it pops, say his name, and then it goes to Joe. Jey goes at the back, comes down, and gets through into the ring. It's not about Jey at that point. But like, you would have just, if people mid the yeet and the excitement and the pump that you get from that, and then the say his name hits, I just think that could have been, the crowd would have just lost at that point.
I know.
Like, I just find it weird.
On you go, Bunsen.
Is like when they originally when they announced that he had a mystery tag partner, I think I did put in our chat. I was like, oh, it'll be Jimmy. And then I looked on Twitter and I saw like all the pictures of Joe Hendry. I was like, in fact, it's in Scotland, blah blah blah. I saw he was in. I think he was in the garage with Mark Henry doing some sort of show that night. So you even knew he was in Scotland. So that made you think, oh, if he's in Scotland in the same city as where Raw is, like there's a huge chance he's obviously there. And then what I thought they should have done to kill it is it's probably similar to what they did. Remember when Punk came back and they announced that Randy Orton was the fifth man of that Survivor Series team to like kill the Punk rumors? Yep. I know it's like they're completely different like sizes of
but I get you.
Back. But like they announced that because they thought that nobody knows Punk's coming back. Obviously did come back, but it was just sort of kill that thing off. They could have easily just done a thing like on Twitter on Sunday or whatever, Monday morning or something, says Jey Uso's find a tag partner, it's Jimmy, and then everybody would have been like, for fuck's sake, but they would have like accepted it instead of going in with that thinking of, oh, Joe Henry's going to come out. Whether the folk in America would have cared, but obviously they did like, remember they did the show in, was it Spain? They had a show and they had a Spanish boy fighting Gunther, was it? Or Spain?
They had this Axiom random cunt, like. But the thing is, Joe Henry's over in America anyway. Like they had him in the Rumble. He was big enough to be one of the 3 surprises in the Rumble. So like, they obviously have faith in his ability to draw. But like, I was similar to Kyle. Like they should have had him coming out on his own, Jey, having the interaction with those 2 guys, and then go A-Town Down Under, which is the worst name for the tag team ever, by the way, and have them saying, "Who's your partner?" I mean, obviously you couldn't even find a partner. And then Jey does a wee tease like, well, all I need to do is say his name.
Yeah.
And then it goes. Do you mean like something like that? But it died on its arse. And then I think at that point the crowd really did disengage for quite a while. Like it really did suck the air out of the building. And then the issue I've got with this whole Jey and Gunther build up, right? So obviously he had that botch last week where he was meant to do the thing over the top rope and he fell, right? But then they sort of had it in the storyline again this week. Me and Burnsy thought he'd actually slipped, but that was obviously part of the.
Do you think it was in the story, or do you think that was like on off the cuff thing, thinking, right, we'll go and do that?
So I think it wasn't originally. I think after the botch last week, they've added this into the storyline. That
right. So you think this week was?
This week it was
intentional.
Yeah, I think this week was intentional, and they're going to have him like making mistakes, and which is
they have the interaction between Jey and Jimmy after the match as well. They talk about it and stuff, and then Jimmy hits Gunther with an almighty slap. It was an absolute peach. Probably the best thing that Jimmy done that whole night. But it was it has got to that point where it's just a bit meh. Like nobody's
really. Thing they did well in terms of like how they had Jimmy as his partner. Then they've got the bit going forward, but they could have done that without him being his partner still, because they already had a segment on the week before or something with Gunther, and Gunther was trying to say, I think he was trying to get Jimmy on his side, basically. But I disagree with you though, Daniel, in terms of I think the crowd are going to stick with him because he seems that over. But I think I'm sort of lose because as well that he's beat him, I think you said it was 3 times. It was at least twice he's beat him already. Then to go again is that I don't think he should win, but then it's like if he doesn't win,
he's dead.
Like, what's the point in having him winning the Rumble to then just like go and get beat off the same boys list twice again? It's weird unless he does get the win, but I don't think he should. I think Gunther should retain.
He can't win it, surely.
I'm going to ask you a question, right? Is Jey Uso over, or is Jey Uso's entrance over?
Entrance.
See, entrance more than him,
right? So I think Jey Uso has the best entrance in wrestling at the moment. Right, that everyone loves taking part in, right? But everyone loved doing the fucking Fandango dance. It doesn't mean you should make him world champion, right? And that's my issue with it. He's got an excellent entrance that everyone loves doing, but he should be nowhere near that world title picture. Like, to me, they've almost wasted one of the title matches at Mania. Like, for example, right, could you imagine when we're discussing what's going to be main event night 1 and main event night 2, does Jey Uso and Gunther even come into your mind?
But the thing is, that actually shouldn't be the main event based on what other matches are on, which is mad because main event Jey Uso's not going to be in the main event when he's going for his title.
It should. I don't know if they'll still put it there because he won the Rumble, but it shouldn't actually be. It should be lucky if it's either actually the opening match or the main event of either night. I would say, but if
it's opening match, it's probably the best place it can be. I think.
But I think it should even probably be that. I would say there's 4 better matches on the card that should be in. But you're not obviously going to chuck it in the middle of the card, but
yeah.
But in terms of for TV, for entertainment purposes, starting off with Jey walking out, his music kicks off the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
makes sense. To swiftly move you on from Jey and Jimmy and their mess, we're going to skip past Lyra Valkyria, and Raquel Rodriguez. We'll just get right past it. And I want to talk about the contract signing, the debacle with Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, and Bianca Belair, because I think this is a horrific storyline that they're telling. It's absolutely dreadful.
It's shit, aye. Like, to me, the 2 things that they've missed, right? Number 1, you had this big build-up to Jade Cargill coming back and it being Naomi, right? Bianca should be involved in that.
Yes.
I mean, her best pal has basically turned her back on her, betrayed her, and beat up her tag team partner and destroyed their tag team title runs and all this sort of shit, right? She's involved in that. And to me, that was why I was so shocked when she won the Chamber, because it didn't make any sense for her to then. And then to add on top of that, I could have got on board with Bianca and Rhea Ripley again if they'd done a good enough build, right? But to then have Rhea lose the title on a Monday Night Raw and now still be involved. And there's this weird back and forth, who's in the match, who's not in the match. So now you're going to have Rhea's getting a rematch, and then the winner of that's getting the title, and that's going to end up in some sort of shenanigans. It's going to be a triple threat, right? So I've got no time for all this in between bullshit. And the thing is, Rhea Ripley on her own is a phenomenal character. She doesn't need all this fucking weird contract signing bullshit. Like, I would never have imagined her being someone that would come out and moan and complain and then sign her name in a contract that's no hers just to try and get into a match. Like, it doesn't suit anything she's done over the last 5 years. She's like,
and even the whole concept of I'll just write my name here and then that's me in a minute. Like, sound don't you're gonna drop your bank card, love. I'll write my name in the back of it and now it's mine. It doesn't work that way. And the whole contract signing is just, they need to stop this piss. It's 2025. Like, we don't need contract signings. Nobody really cares.
I don't know if it was it on CM Punk's promo? I'm not going to go into that now, or it may have been on video that I saw it was uploaded to Celtic site because he was doing a tour of Celtic Park, but he made some sort of comment saying, like, oh, there's a contract signing on Friday on SmackDown. You know how those usually go down? Because they're just like, because that's all the end of a brawl or something. Like, they're as well just no, because it's just, it seems as if it's the same segment over and over again. It's like, I think the actual match itself will be good, but that's obviously not the point, like the week to week stuff. It's as if I don't know, I think I'm giving them credit and thinking they're always thinking about getting the triple threat at Mania, which I think with you, Dan, I would have just kept it as a one-on-one match. And even if Bianca did win the Chamber, just have Io not involved or have an way of getting re-into it and said all this nonsense. It's as if they've just thought, oh, we've got so much weeks of TV to kill, what we're going to do with it. And then they're just thinking, right, we'll and extend it a wee bit longer. So we've not got the triple threat match announced, and then we've got weeks of TV to kill or something. Like,
where this is hard to get excited and bought in about it is you can tell from the minute it's happened they're forcing Rhea into this match. Because if you think back to the triple threat main event with the women where it was Charlotte Flair versus Ronda, and then Becky managed to get herself that over and that big, and she built it up that she had to be in that triple threat. Whereas you were buzzing that she was in there. See, now where they've just went, Rhea's demanding and they're forcing her in. It doesn't buy her. I start to lose the interest in it because who are you cheering for? Three of these people because
Yeah. So this was one of the things, slightly controversial topic, but one of the issues you've got is these are three baby faces, right? These are Rhea, Io Sky, and Bianca at the moment are all good guys, right? And Bianca Belair got booed in Glasgow, including by us, by the way, right? But there's been I saw a couple of stories online that folk are thinking it's because of the colour of her skin that she got booed.
I didn't see that clip. I saw like people online complaining how she was getting booed, and then people under it were saying, "Well, it's because she's getting pushed all the time, and nobody actually wants her in that spot." But I didn't see the comments you had.
So
I was going to actually see that.
I saw articles about it. So the issue is, right, if you've got three people in a match, you need to have someone to boo, right? You need to have someone that you're rooting for, and she to me is the odd one out because she should be involved in the SmackDown story. She's been on SmackDown all year, having this Jade Cargill Naomi beef, right? And then she's been betrayed, and now she's just like doesn't even think about that anymore. She's just like left it behind. Like that should be the big fucking thing. And what I would have done was I would have had Jade against Naomi at Mania, with the idea that Bianca's on Jade's side, obviously. But I would have turned Bianca and had it that her and Naomi were in it all along together, and that would have been brilliant. That was the way I had it planned out. So I'm not booing her as a person. I'm booing the fact that the storyline's pish.
Yeah, it's just they seem to have Bianca's like this, like on probably the same level as Charlotte, and then she needs to be involved in title matches. Then that's why she's there. But again, if they just didn't have like this nonsense of the triple threat or planned it better, you could have had one of them turn in, like you say about one of them being a heel or something like that. Because they could even have Bianca being doing something in that Naomi and Jade story, but then still been involved in the title match. So she could have still been half involved, turned heel, going into the triple threat match as a heel, or something along those lines, and plan the triple threat match better. But it just seems a bit of a shambles set up.
So that's why we're booing her, not for any other fucking stupid reason. I think these articles only come out with people that don't actually watch or follow the show. So I mean, that tends to
they're just looking for a headline there. But if we move from a storyline that's really not working to one that shouldn't work, let's talk about El Grande Americano.
Fucking brilliant.
It's absolutely so brilliant.
It's so
the
good.
Best part of the show.
It was me and Burnsy were talking about it loads. Like, what are they going to do? Are they going to have what we thought might have happened was in the middle of the match, Chad Gable appears at the top of the ramp. So, do you know what I mean? So they've actually had someone that just looks like him. So they're going to need to have at some point, right? I think they're going to have that guy in a match or something. And he walks past, and then Chad Gable walks past behind him, and he's like, "Look, it's not me." I think it's amazing. It's so good.
Although the idea I had was that they basically what the Bella Twins used to do and did that to a Magic House. So you could have something like obviously whoever they're going to get to replace Chad Gable, like he's probably not going to be able to do all his moves at that point. So you could have him like go to the floor, camera cuts away, and obviously they can do stuff really well in terms of getting somebody else to come out, finish the match, and the boy wins by a roll up or something. Then Chad Gable stands at the side in his normal gear. And they're like, what? It can't be like
it's so good.
But obviously he's like smashed him before that point, so it's Chad Gable actually won it. But the only thing I saw, but I don't know if you had read about it, I think people in Mexico were complaining about the name or something like that. Because it shouldn't be called Grande Americano or whatever.
The large coffee is pretty much what it translates to.
Large coffee. I think it's meant to be stupid. Like I think it's meant to sound like a big.
Well, I think that people under it were saying, it's meant to be a laugh, but some people for like Mexico and that weren't happy with the naming for some reason. I don't know the ins and outs, but anyway, we'll skip past over that.
Fuck me, man.
So I thought it was really
fun. But then if you're talking
the match
reactions to it, this is where you got the "this is awesome" chant at this match here. If you look at this on paper, even if it was Chad Gable versus Dragon Lee, this is the one where you get up to go get your drink. Like you wouldn't really be that bothered. But Chad Gable is so good that the little stories, the little build-ups to it, and being sick and all this kind of shit, and then actually getting him come out and doing the match, and it's shameless. He does all these moves, he does all the spots, he does all these chants, he's all pushed to him. And then it was really, really good.
Perfect, like absolutely perfect. And so one of the things I'd mentioned, so the one mist that's still going as well was, right, he got sent away to meet a mystery luchador who was going to teach him the ways, right? And we still don't know who that person is. right? So obviously it could be that he's saying that El Grande Americano was the person that was helping him. But I said to Burnsy, it could be Sami Zayn's not on TV now. His previous character before WWE was El Generico. So you could have El Grande Americano and El Generico as like a heel tag team, which I think would be fucking brilliant in the line. So wherever they go with it, it's going to lead to hopefully them getting a spot on the Mania card, because it's going to be tight for spots on that card. Especially if Triple H keeps doing the 5, maybe 6 max matches per night. So you're probably going to need to do that. Rey Fenix is due to debut, so he could be involved in it. Or Rey Mysterio is going to need to have a last match soon. Or do you do like a mask versus mask match, where that's when you take the mask off and see that it's Chad Gable, and hopefully they take it off and it's not him. That's my dream scenario here. Is that somehow they take it off and they make it so it's not him. But yeah,
just on the Rey Fenix thing, Penta's obviously got so much popularity at the moment. He's got so much traction going. How did they bring Rey Fenix in to not just be his tag team partner?
He's going to SmackDown.
so they've got them 2 shows. They've got them 2 different shows on purpose, I think.
I think that's why they're doing it, because they thought if we put them together, I'm just going to expect a tag team. If you keep them apart until they're going to be a tag team, then keep them split.
I just worry because obviously Penta's so popular at the moment. I just feel like he's obviously he's in title matches and stuff, which obviously was in this card as well, and he's really good and he's really over. Then Rey Fenix obviously is late to coming in because of AEW holding him hostage basically, which has also worked out for Penta because they would have came in as a tag team. So I'm just intrigued to what happens with that in the long term. But if they keep them the separate shows and keep it completely different, then happy days.
Aye, I think that's best. Eventually they'll probably come together at some point, right? But I think of the 2 of them, Penta's the bigger character, right? In WWE, that's what matters more. Doesn't really matter how many flips and fucking different shit you can do. But you've got to be... He's cool as fuck looking. He looks like Sahanu, like horror film or something. Like the way he's got the face paint and a mask, doubling up. Do you know what I mean? Not just a mask or face paint, both.
It reminds me, he looks like somebody you would see kicking about in the Warriors movie.
Yeah, or like a Mortal Kombat character or something like that. He's cool. And I like his wee walk that he does and like all the characteristics. Yeah, it's good. My only issue is that sometimes the stuff in the ring, I'm not as into the big flippy floppy, too much of that. Like, see if I see another fucking Canadian or Mexican or whatever destroyer, like, I'm done with it. Do you know what I mean? And I was actually talking to a guy we ended up sitting next to. The worst move in wrestling is the Spanish fly. That stupid thing that Will Ospreay did off the cage a few weeks ago. Like, I understand you're meant to suspend your disbelief, right? And we all know they're working together. Both guys are working together. They're trying not to hurt each other, right? It's a fucking pantomime show, right? But you've got to make it so that it's not too obvious. And having 2 guys stand next to each other face to face like this, with their arms around each other, and then going, right, are you ready? I am ready. Are you ready? Right, let's go. And do a backflip together. And who's supposed to be taking the damage there? They both just do a backflip. It's fucking shit. I cannot be doing with those sort of moves. But Penta's one of the exceptions. And it's good because it's very, very difficult to be a guy in a mask that does that sort of style and not just be forgotten about. Right?
Yeah.
Because Rey Mysterio, but nobody gives a shit about anyone else in his little faction. Nobody gave a shit about Sin Cara. Nobody gave a shit about fucking Grand Metalik. Nobody gave a shit about whoever the little one. I can't mind his name. There's been so many of them over the years that are meant to be like the next Rey Mysterio. And do you know who the next Rey Mysterio is? It's still fucking Rey Mysterio. Like 5 years later, it's still Rey Mysterio. So I think Penta's done enough to set himself aside for that, and you might finally have someone in a mask that takes on and goes on to be something. But that was the main event, so we'll move on to Punk probably to end us off. But the main event was good, but I feel like recently on Raw and SmackDown, you've had very good title matches and main events. And what's made them good is they've been given like a good 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and there's been a clean finish. Right? And this one was a good match that kind of fell apart at the end. It just felt a bit like a letdown. Like, just having a bit of running and a bit of interference, and that was the only disappointment for
The
me.
wee bit for me was looking back was that Dom and Carlito came out like halfway through the match and just stood there because we were saying we were sitting. Are they just going to like watch the match and just let it finish? Because usually they have somebody come out and they might not manage to get involved straight away, but they'll try and do something. They just went around and sat in front of the commentators and just thought, I will just here to watch. And it's not as if they were like in line to get a title shot or something like that, which you can understand if somebody's doing that. They were basically just doing their. I know they've been saying, "Oh, we're trying to get Penta to join the Judgment Day." Like I'm not as over on him as you are, Daniel, but like the rest of them do. The crowd he is massively popular, as you can tell. But no, I thought it was okay. The match, as you say, was really good, but the way it ended was a kind of bit of damp squib. Really, like I think they sort of put themselves into a corner probably as well because they didn't really want Penta to take the loss, though, and then they weren't obviously going to have Braun lose it, so they were kind of like, well, how do we do it? And because it seems as if they were like the previous week's Raw, they were setting up for Mania, and then they just pulled the trigger on it and had it this week. It seemed awfully quick.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't have really been a huge fan of having that just as a Mania singles match as well. So I think they did the right thing in terms of not having that going to Mania, but they maybe shouldn't have actually set it up and done it as quickly as.
Do we think then for Mania it's going to be Braun versus Finn?
I think it's going to be a multi-man affair.
Which always is the case with Intercontinental, isn't it?
Well, that's the worry. It's going to be a four-way.
Yeah. So I think you're going to have... So, well, there's two ways you could do it, right? You could end up having Penta and Braun singles again because they never had the chance to finish this one, right? And how you get there is Finn Balor eventually turns babyface against the Judgment Day, and you get the demon back. Because that's coming to. Because the one good thing was you got that little tease where it looked like Finn was going to take the chair to Dom, and he never. But because there's all that sort of tension in the group now, and I think we've had probably enough of this Finn Balor heel character, and let's just go back to when he was amazing in NXT, and the momentum got derailed when Vince McMahon obviously didn't know how to book him. So you had a few years of Finn Balor being shit, really, never really getting anywhere. Whereas now, I think, under the new way of things under Triple H, I think he could be a fucking superstar again. Have him the big entrance again, coming out doing the fucking with the lights going up and the big thing and all that. And that's maybe another way you could do it. But I don't know. Those ones are a bit wide to me.
I just thought of this new, so they might be like, no, there's no chance this happening. Finn was the one that obviously looks like he was going to turn on Dom. Do you think there's a chance that if it's a fatal four-way, Dom ends up winning it and pins Finn to win the title? Because imagine how like the crowd would absolutely hate Dom winning the title at Mania.
I'd love it though, because everyone would hate it. That's what would make me love it.
Because that's a way of getting Braun and Penta out of the equation. If you did. And then Braun can maybe move on up for the Intercontinental title. Because I think he's at the stage now where...
He needs to move up,
You're just waiting for him to lose it to someone. But then again, maybe you want to put somebody properly over, which might be Penta or whatever. But you're just waiting the stage of him moving up the card to maybe challenge Gunther or something like that.
Dirty Dom with the title would be great.
And obviously Liv and Raquel still got the tag titles as well. So you've got the three of them. Finn's at the Judgment Day, and it sets up Finn v Dom with him. Finn the face to go for the title.
Yeah. I think that works well. I think any way to get that resolved, because I think you're right, and this kind of highlights what we're saying about Jey Uso probably being the wrong person going for the title. Because can you imagine if we were building up to Braun Breaker against Gunther?
Aye,
I'd be buzzing for it.
Because you can believe that Braun could beat Gunther. You can't believe that Jay's going to beat him.
Nah. And if he does, it's going to a small package or some shit. Do you know what I mean? I just... for Gunther,
what do you do with Gunther after that?
Exactly. Like, he lost it last year's Mania, but he's only ever lost clean, I think, three times. And they're like all the way through from NXT UK to NXT to the main show. I think he's only ever lost clean to Sami Zayn and Ilya Dragunov. And that's it. I don't think anyone else... Oh, and Cody Rhodes, sorry.
The Saudi ring.
The champion v champion thing, but I'm sure there was some sort of hijinks involved in that at some point. But that's my issue. If they have Jey go over Gunther, it's kind of fucking him over a wee bit. And they're going to do the title change with Cody and Cena, we think. They're probably going to do title changes for the US title, you would think. And some sort of big multi-man match with that one. They're probably going to do... Oh, Tiffy's going to probably keep her title, right, we think? Tiff
Hopefully.
Charlotte.
I don't know.
But
Those guys never... There you go, Kev.
There's a lot of there's a lot of titles. So like, as long as they only have one of the big 3 or 4 changeover, and then the rest it can just be a just fucking meddling piece of shit in the middle that nobody really cares about. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, it'd be lovely for whoever gets it, but as long as they progress the storyline with it, and I think that's the point I want to make is like, if Braun loses it and ends up losing it to Dominic, I think that's best case scenario because it puts 2 full new storylines in, and you could easily have Braun the following week, like Gunther fucking going on and talk about how nobody can beat him, nobody's strong enough, nobody's got the dog in them to get him and all this, and then out comes Braun, and then that's it. You're right into a storyline of 2 big fucking meatheads that just want to fight.
Goldberg's not his retirement retirement match yet. Maybe he'll come back and beat him.
I tell you what will happen. I'll call it now, right? John Cena's going to win the title and he's going to do an open challenge, and Goldberg's going to come out and take it. And Goldberg's going to win it within about 3 seconds. And then he's going to build up a feud with Braun Breaker. And they're going to have a spear versus spear match, and it's a winner who does the first spear.
Before we move on to CM Punk, right, because that'll be the last thing we've got to cover, another thing me and Burns spoke about, and it's one of my pet peeves at the moment, too many spears.
Oh, aye.
Just let a finisher be a finisher, man.
I know. Like, you've got Jey Uso doing a spear, you've got Roman Reigns doing a spear, Braun Breaker does a spear, you've also had Edge doing a spear, doing a spear, Goldberg doing a spear. Like, there's too many people using that, and Braun Breaker, fair enough, his looks fucking awesome, right? Roman Reigns, fair enough, he's been doing it a long time. That should be it. Leave it alone outside that.
Why is Jey so?
It looks like garbage, man.
Unless you make it look as good, or like your own special part of it, like when Braun does it, he's like got that much speed doing it. Maybe Roman's looks better. I would say Braun looks better.
Roman's got his thing he does before, and he's big.
Yeah,
I know.
And his looks harsh, but Braun's has got his own wee thing where he can make it. He's absolutely bouncing off the ropes like 100 mile an hour as well. But then you have other folks just like a wee normally, and it's like same as we said. There's not really anyone that does super kicks as a finisher now, but you see super kicks all the time. It's just became like just a standard move. But obviously, I guess the only thing is because nobody actually does it as a finisher now, it's not the same as a spear. But that is quite annoying as well.
Too many of them.
Let's move on to Punk now. What was your thoughts on Punk's promo?
It didn't matter to me, right? It was one of those things where I've never been in a building where CM Punk's music's hit and CM Punk's come out. And it was just brilliant to experience it. Because I've always used to go, no, right? I'm a big fucking wrestling geek since I was a tiny wee guy, right? And there was a long time where I kind of fell out of love with wrestling during that. Round about that sort of John Cena time, right?
Spinny belts and shit.
Aye, all that sort of time, right? And CM Punk brought me back into wrestling. Like that time where he felt like he was speaking what fans were saying. Do you know what I mean? Like that shit that never happened before. Like, and when he did like the pipe bomb and all that, it felt like it was properly off script. And he isn't muscly, he isn't fucking big jacked up guy. He doesn't. He's no like a perfect looking fucking specimen. He's covered in shit tattoos and fucking, he's just like a guy. And I've always, and then he's been away for so long that we all thought you would never ever get the chance to see it again. So I thought it was amazing just for him to come out. He was obviously really just saying to fucking ham it up and fucking say how great the crowd were and talk about what was coming next, right? But the things so my prediction now, right, because he's still talking about this favour he's got. And this now they're doing a contract signing, which we've mentioned, right? Why are they doing that? So I think there's going to need to be some sort of twist somewhere.
Well, like he says though, the wise man's not just Roman's wise man.
Exactly, right? So, well, the one thing CM Punk said that stuck with me, I never thought about it at the time until I sort of later on the next day I was thinking more about it. He was saying he's still not got what he wants. So obviously that match is happening, and he's like, I'm still don't have what I want, which is obviously a main event, right?
Mhm.
So that made me think at first that he's going to try and make it so the triple threat's the main event. But I don't. I think he's going to wangle away, possibly that the winner of that match gets involved in the Cena Cody match. Maybe it won't, maybe it will, but
I
it's going
just,
to be the winner of the triple threat.
nah, I think that's. I know who. Like, I don't know what the favour they're going to make the favour is, but I just think you've went too far down the line with Cena and Punk, Cena and Cody that to add somebody in. What they could do is add it into their title match and make it actually mean something right now.
Yeah.
Basically give it a main event.
I think my only thing with this triple threat is, and I know they've all got little different beefs with each other for different things, and it's a whole mashup of different things that are going in there. The one thing that annoys me a little bit with it is it's pushed Drew McIntyre out of the picture completely, which
That's what I was going to mention.
then leaves this massive superstar who's probably not going to be at Mania.
He's going to be fighting
No,
David.
he's got Priest. I could be fighting
Priest. So he's basically no at Mania.
Aye.
Who gives it? Do you know what I mean? And I like Priest. I quite like Priest, but those two just don't tie up as a good match for me to even care about. But then, where do each of these three people go outside of it, right? Because I could see Punk getting Heyman back, but then that's a bit meh to me. I don't really understand that. What happens with Roman? Where does he go? What's the whole bloodline situation like? What's going on there? What's like? I don't see anything about that. And then where does Seth go from here as well? Like, I don't see an outcome of this match progressing any three of their storylines.
I think I mentioned to you, Daniel, that the only thing which would be a complete curveball, which I don't understand, I don't know how they would get there, and I don't know how you could then say, "Oh, Paul Heyman owes Punk a favour," is that somehow Heyman actually sides with Rollins instead, fucks Roman over, fucks Punk over as well. I don't understand why you would do that, but like just as a complete curveball. Because I've read stuff online about this triple threat, and it's like, oh, I've just chucked them all together and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, well, no. Like, they've had, like Seth and Roman have been feuding for ages. Like, they were feuding at last year's WrestleMania for a start, and obviously years and years before that. Punk and Rollins have been feuding for ages. And Punk and Reigns have always had that sort of underlying thing, and they've got Heyman as well. But I agree with you that what it should have done would have been, like, McIntyre's got beef with every single one of them. And I don't understand why they just didn't have him involved in it as well, because he was in that feud with Punk and Rollins at the start of the year, I think.
And not only that, right, the reason he's been in all these feuds over the last year is because of the bloodline and Roman Reigns, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason he hated CM Punk is because CM Punk did the match with Roman Reigns, because he hates Roman Reigns. Because that whole time where Roman was like the big fucking top guy beating everybody, he stood over Drew McIntyre so many times. And so Drew hates him. Drew fucking detests Seth Rollins, and he fucking detests CM Punk, right? And they all hate each other. It just feels like he's the odd man out, and it's a shame. He should be in there cutting these promos with all of them, and he should be one of those, the four of them. I could deal with the four of them in a match, like, and then that way you get, like you said, Kyle, you can probably make it more likely you get something out of it. You can progress two storylines maybe, and two of them go off in a tangent somewhere. But it is hard to see where it goes. If it was me, I would have found something else for CM Punk to do, and I would have just had Seth and Roman as a one-on-one match. Because
Punk winning the Rumble or something. Because we thought originally that Cena and Punk were going to be two. One was going to win Elimination Chamber, one would win the Rumble.
Yep.
And then they've put Jey Uso in that spot, whereas you could have either had Cena going after Gunther or Punk going after Gunther. I think that would have been a better idea. And either just had...
But even having, like, just not having Jey win the Rumble, have any one of Seth, Roman, or CM Punk win the Rumble, and then the storyline works regardless that the other person fights the other person, Jey just gets left out of it. Have Jey reunion with Jimmy at Mania for a fucking tag team match. Do you know what I mean? Push him.
Aye, let them fucking do that shit.
Bring the Hardys in.
And you were saying as well, Daniel, about Drew being left out, see if it was just Seth against Roman, then he's not real. It doesn't feel like that you wouldn't have him involved in that match because they've obviously they've never had a one-on-one match for years and years.
Yeah.
And then it would make sense why McIntyre wasn't involved in that, but because it's a 3, it feels like it should be 4.
Aye.
Whereas at that point you'd be like, you would just be like, I can have the match with Damian Priest if that's all he's got, because and then as well the weird thing with Drew is like they had these wee segments backstage where he's speaking to The Rock and everything. So it's as if he's like getting strings pulled, but then he's in a meaningless match. I do think after Mania he's going to be pushed right to the top of the card again, because I think hopefully just absolutely destroys Damian Priest and breaks him off TV for a bit. But
I like Priest. I think Priest is great in the ring. Like, I think he's calling so much.
He's not that level. I don't think that's
But they've had him at the top for a little bit, so it is fine to move him away. Now, if we're talking Mania moving forward and coming to there, something I've got saved in my watch list that I will watch on YouTube at some point is the 4-hour-long show about the Bloodline storyline from start to now. What happens with this? Where does the Bloodline go? What happens? Like, has it disappeared? I can't even remember seeing anything about it.
To me, it's dead now. Right? You've got like the Wish version of the Bloodline still going, which is essentially going to lead to Jacob Fatu being a superstar, right? That's what you're going to get out of that side of things. And you are right, so right. Roman coming back, beating the Bloodline, beating Solo. What he should have had after that was all the rest of the family fall in line with him, right? So once he beat Solo, what I expected to happen was Jacob, Tama Tonga, whatever fucking Samoans they bring in are now backing up Roman Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But Solo lost, and they've all just stuck with him anyway. And I know they've got a conflict going at the moment. So he's now the tribal chief of no tribe.
They don't actually refer to that, I don't think, though, do they?
Well, the OTC is what he's referred to now, which is the original tribal chief.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant so. Aye, so it's like Roman's eyes.
Yeah. Roman's a tribal chief, but there's no tribe anymore, right? And I think it's been an amazing 4-year story, 3-year story that's just kind of died out a wee bit at the end, which is a wee bit disappointing because
I never really crossed my mind how basically it just ended at the Netflix debut. Like he pinned Solo, and that's been it. Really, that's even crossed. I think because then you had the Rumble right after it. Roman was written off for a couple of months. It didn't even cross my mind that then that's kind of just ended. I would say maybe it should have probably been a better ending to what it's been when you think back on it. Like at some point.
They obviously they positioned Jacob Fatu is going to be the next big thing, the next big heat, like whatever. And then I don't know where does he go for that? I don't think Jacob Fatu's got the ability to be the main person, but he could be the main enforcer. Like, does he end up going against Roman? Does he end up going with Roman?
I think at one point it looked as if, like, once I was thinking back when Roman beat Solo, I thought maybe Roman was going to fight Jacob at WrestleMania, and then Jacob might have bet Roman. That's what I think. That's what road we thought they were going to. Maybe it was what road they were actually planning on going down as well. And then obviously it's completely changed. So it's got lost.
I like the idea that was positioned a while back about Jacob being a plant by The Rock, and The Rock actually. The Rock try to explode the bloodline from the inside, and then all that happens is Jacob turns, and then Solo and Roman end up getting back together, and they get the original bloodline back together, and they go against The Rock and his version, and that then becomes your Mania match up, and then that gets the Rock to fuck, and it puts Roman back on the pedestal. But they've just mashed that across loads of different things that it's not even possible now. The fact that the bloodline has become this fucking, so the NWO back in the day when you started adding loads and loads of new people to it, nobody gave a fuck that fucking Buff Bagwell was in the NWO. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe that's the problem, because The Rock's not been on TV hardly at all. So maybe at that point they actually thought he was going to be involved, so they've led the storyline to go on that route. And he turned up for that one. He turned up that, what was it, one night he's been on since obviously the night we came out when Cena.
He's not been on at all since Cena turned.
That's what I mean. So he came out that night, but that's the only time he's been on TV. So like maybe that was, they were going to go sign on, but obviously because The Rock's not there, it's like, well, you can't really Get it up with
Do you know what's the
What I would do? I would get Jacob away from them as quickly as possible. Disband all that pish, right? And just make him a star on his own. Because I know you were saying you don't think he can be that guy on his own, but like I think Jacob Fatu is like world champion material. Like, see the way he cuts the promos where it's almost like he's zapping. It's almost like if you put a beat to it, it's almost like a fucking hip hop song the way he fucking comes out and he's walking through the back and he's fucking unbelievable in the ring. And he's like, so to me, everything he does looks amazing. But having him in a feud with Braun Strowman's a fucking snore fest, man. Like, get that guy the least. Honestly.
Do you know what? Do you know what Jacob Fatu needs? He needs a wise man.
Well, yeah. That's what he needs.
Is this what Punk's alluding to when he says he's not just your wise man? And we were all assuming it means that he's Punk's wise man, but he's actually Jacob Fatu's.
Could be that. Could be that.
What's incredible about wrestling, and she tried to explain to mainly her female counterparts about why wrestling's so good, is wrestling is a continuous story that gets you like talking about shit like this. Like, we've made so many hypotheticals that could happen over the next 3 to 4 weeks. Like, we're predicting an ongoing entertainment TV show that just changes on a whim, changes based on what the fans want. It's class. Like, you can pick up wrestling whenever you want and drop it whenever you want, and you'll still get the same build up to it. You don't need to go back and watch 4 years of the Bloodline to understand what's happened for it. You've missed a trick, but it's like, this is class. Because I think for me, when it comes to wrestling, I pick it up around the Mania time, I drop it for a bit, then I pick it back up at Rumble time, then I drop it for a bit, then I'm back at Mania. But nothing really changes. Like, the storylines can move so quickly, and you get brought into it. Like, I was fully invested watching that Raw.
Well, I was going to say that as well. It's like, Steve, what you've realised over the last couple of weeks, how good it is actually having it on at those times. It's been starting at 7, 8 o'clock at night for us. Yeah. And I was thinking, like, before, it's like, if I say you were in America, I'd be like, I can imagine myself watching Raw SmackDown every week, because it's like 3-hour shows or whatever. But then it's been on here. Maybe it's because it's like, it doesn't happen regularly. But then I think I've watched every one that's been on the European tour that they've had.
Yeah.
And because it's obviously on its social hours. Instead of watching, like, say, Apple highlights or something.
If I didn't have work, if I had no job, do you know what I mean? I'd be up at 1 a.m. every single Monday night. Like, I would watch every single one, every Friday night SmackDown, all of them, because the only thing that stops me is the time, right? And then what stops you then going back and watching the full show is that you then read about what happened. And once you know what happened, that's when it loses the magic. Like, you've got to watch it live. Like, I remember having a conversation with Ella once about staying up to watch, because I always stay up for all the pay-per-views, right? And I was really tired. She was like, why don't you just watch it in the morning? I'm like, no, it's already happened then. So, I mean, I've got to watch it as it's happening, because then you're really there for the live.
But it's true. Could you imagine watching the Champions League final the day after this happened?
Exactly. It's exactly that.
See, I'm probably slightly different in terms of, like, I would... Sometimes I've said to you, I've watched pay-per-view, I woke up on the Sunday morning or whatever. Then because I've seen you're working the next day, I'm not going to go through like until 5 o'clock and watch and avoid all the spoilers and all that kind of stuff.
But I do that. See when it's Sunday morning, because I get up with the dog. The Sunday morning I'm got up with the dog about 6 a.m. I know that I've got 3-4 hours before the rest of the house is up on a Sunday. I've had all the I've muted our chats. I've got the notifications off for everything. I wake up in the morning. I don't even look at my phone. It's like put away to the side until it's finished, and then I watch the whole thing fresh-eyed. But you have to be disciplined to that point and not loading up. Like, and it's the same thing. Like, see when you sit watching football with people and they've got kind of live scores coming through at the same time, and you're trying to watch a match. It's the most infuriating thing. It's like just watch what you're watching. And I think this would be the same. If I was to get up in the morning and I've got all the notifications on and I've seen all the results happen, I wouldn't watch the event.
You just watch the highlights, basically.
And I can be guilty. Like, see the Raws and SmackDowns, so I do find it hard to keep up with. But it was actually really good sitting there Monday night watching the Raw from start to finish and paying attention and not having the ability to fast forward through all the little segments that I'm not arsed with. Like, I would have fast forwarded all the Chad Gable stuff if I was watching that later. But
Yeah.
actually, probably my favourite part of the whole night was watching him build that up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Guys, we've
and that's
ranted,
exactly what it's like.
and we've raved about WWE Monday Night Raw in Glasgow for well over an hour now. But overall, for you two that were in attendance with the millions and millions, was it an enjoyable experience?
Definitely enjoyable because it was free. Sorry for the folk get paid about 400 quid a ticket, right now.
And they want to sit in a
Surprised.
fancy box.
I'm surprised Triple H didn't come out and tell us how it was the highest grossing event ever. He loves doing that and basically just saying, I will shaft you for an absolute fortune. But no, it was really good. The seats were cracking as well, so definitely worth it.
Very good. Thank you, Bunzy. It was much appreciated.
That's okay.
But yeah,
Burnsy digged into his deep pockets and bought a box for him and Daniel to go watch the wrestling.
but we'll come back and do the wrestling game probably around Mania, I would say.
I'll be away
yeah.
on holiday, so
And
you
then
used to
Mania.
have to do it as a 2-man, unless you want to wait about a week to review Mania, which I think would ruin it a wee bit.
Well,
No,
have you
just
have you-
at that point. We could
have
do
you-
a
have you-
we could do a preview. We could do a preview episode.
Could do that.
a Mania prediction? It's like Burnsy's not got internet when he's abroad. Do you know what I mean?
It's all on
Burnsy.
my broad page, so I don't think I'd be in any condition.
A drunk Burnsy on giving his Mania review. That would be ideal. Well, thank you very much to those that have stuck around and listened to us talk about the Morons, talk about wrestling for this period of time. Like Daniel mentioned, if you are looking to get yourself some free beer, jump over to beer52.com/morons, MORONS. It actually took me a second to remember how to spell it because I was reading it backwards on my screen there. As Morons do, bid you farewell. Normally we get something sarcastic from Hunter's side at this point, but he's fucking patched us.
Sorry I don't speak moron as well as you, but let me try.
What the hell is supposed to do, you moron?
It's a moron. That's not against the law.
Gun! You fucking moron!
Stuff like Batman.
Because he is Batman, you moron.
What are you, a fucking moron?
You moron. Drop dead. Moron.
Whoa!
Up here, you morons.
Stepping morons like yourself.
Me down, you moron! Hey, moron!